Welcome back to the Becoming Her podcast. You guys, Dr. Ann and I are here, and we have a I feel like it's going to be powerful conversation that we're going to have. And it's kind of funny because Ann texted me just yesterday and she's like, I have an amazing podcast episode. And so we're going to be speaking to the victim mentality, but I'm going to let Ann kind of drive this because I know she had a personal experience kind of leading into the conversation that we're going to have.
Yes. And for the record, I always just love prefacing this with I am a psychologist, eating disorder specialist, addiction specialist, trauma specialist. I've been doing this work for 20 years. And the reason why I wanted to share this is I actually, and this is probably makes me sound like an absolute nerd, but I got so excited when I found myself struggling with a common trap that I get into as my own coach just earlier this week confronted and challenged me. And so let me kind of share a little bit about the setup. So my oldest daughter is finishing up, and I'm so proud of her. She's working her tail off. She is finishing up her master's degree in counseling, and she's interning full time. She's going to school full time, and she's taking care of her 2-year-old daughter while her husband is deployed. So they're at our house. They've been at our house for months, and I've been doing double duty because I am also during the week a single mom. My husband travels for a living, and I've been trying to help out with my 2-year-old granddaughter, and they also brought their two very large dogs with them. And so I've been out on walks, walking 5 dogs and my granddaughter in a jogging stroller. I look like a traveling circus, right? So anyway, as this has gone on, and I love my daughter, love my granddaughter. They're doing a great job. Not mad at either one of them. They're amazing human beings. This is really just me and my humanness showing up. So get ready, y'all. So I have been taking these walks and in my head screaming because I can't just be out walking my dog, screaming because this is my me time. And now I'm taking care of this adorable little chatterbox that wants to do all the things and say all the things when I just need to unwind. And I just want to get a breath of fresh air. And I can't even do it because now I'm also picking up dog poop and big dog poop. And I don't have big dogs, for crying out loud. Why am I walking the big dogs? Right. And as I've been going through this over the last several months, um, my coach had kind of challenged me a bit, and she had tweaked some things, and then she increased my protein. And she said, all right, let's give dairy a little rest for a little bit. We're going to check for inflammation and other things like that. And I started using protein drinks and protein bars as my major source of protein. Now, mind you, I hadn't been doing a lot of this, but things were really stressful. I was trying my best. And she just kept saying, I want you to be using whole foods. And I am a believer in that. Okay. Okay. And I kept responding back, yeah, well, you don't like, it's really hard. You don't understand. My 2-year-old granddaughter's here and I can't even get a break, and all the systems that all the great coping skills that I have, I just can't do. Like early in the morning, I get up, I do a devotional, be really quiet. I might go for a nice quiet walk, and suddenly there's a 2-year-old up in my face going, Gigi, I'm hungry, right? Or dogs barking because they want fed. And so my life has turned into this chaotic mess with this adorable little gremlin that's living under my roof. And what's funny about this is that we're coming to the end of our time, the end of the 6 months at the end of May. And she kept saying, you just need better boundaries. And I was like, damn it, I have good boundaries. You don't understand. You don't get it. I've got a granddaughter, and it's because of my granddaughter, and it's because of all the work that I'm doing with my daughter to help her out that I can't possibly make a solid dinner or lunch for myself. Okay. So what's interesting is that she kept confronting me. She wouldn't let it go. She's like a pit bull with a bone.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I was getting real mad. Like I was getting in my head, like like, you don't get it. You just like, what's, and it dawned on me, she's trying to help me. And I know she's a compassionate person, and I know she's gone through her own stuff in life. Why on earth would this be upsetting me? And I realized something really quickly, that this exact phenomenon happened when I was in my dissertation, and my husband did the same exact thing. And he finally confronted me after 5 years of not finishing the last 20 pages of my dissertation. It was all but written, that I needed to just let it go. And he said, no one's going to love you less. You're still a clinician. You're already licensed. You're already working in the field. It's not going to be that big a deal. You just wasted 4 years. And I wanted to give all the valid excuses. I'm working 70 hours a week. I got 7 kids I'm taking care of on my own. You don't understand. Everybody else tells me, yeah, you're right. You got too much on your plate. And he didn't, and he wouldn't. So I did give him the cold shoulder for a couple weeks, just so you know. This,
That part of
this
you showed up, so you're normal there too.
I am to blame for some of my marriage problems. But the reason that I wanted to talk about this is that I see people all the time inside of coaching, inside of therapy, filling out multiple different roles. And there are actually 7 roles that we fulfill, and it's usually related to our family of origin and things that have happened in it. But for the sake of this today, I'm only going to talk about 3 of those roles. And those 3 roles are martyr, victim, and rescuer.
Mm.
And I realized really quickly that I was in the martyr role and the victim role with my daughter and my granddaughter. You can't possibly, and I'm putting my hand on my forehead, like
Under
I,
the
just
stress.
like nearly fainting, right? You can't possibly understand what it's like with the 2-year-old and trying to raise teenagers and run a business and do all these things and still eat appropriately. And I got to help her. I, I'm the person to help. I'm the person to do all the last minute things. Don't you get it? And what was happening is that I actually wasn't taking personal responsibility for myself. And I was doing what I typically tend to do, is that I'm managing everybody else in my life and their needs and what I perceive they need, instead of actually problem solving my own life and attending to what my needs were. So I want to talk really quickly about the 3 separate roles, just to get a kind of clearer picture on how they are different. And then I want to talk about what it is that we need to do with those roles. So, and I'm going to read some of this because there's a lot of nuanced details that I want to make sure that I get accurately. So the martyr is often the person who adopts a self-sacrificing role. I can fall on my own damn sword. I am, yes, that is who I am. I do that often, believing that they must endure suffering for the sake of others. Doesn't that just sound awfully noble, right? Okay. This can manifest as constantly putting others' needs before their own, often to the detriment of their own well-being. Martyrs may feel unappreciated or taken for granted, and they might seek validation through their suffering. They often hold the belief that their sacrifices will eventually be recognized or rewarded. Okay, spot on me. Even to the extent that as I was out walking my granddaughter and the 5 dogs in a jog, like, somebody needs to videotape that and put that somewhere on
That's
social
a
media,
real. I can
because
see it right now. That's a real. I can see it.
it looks obnoxious. And when I'm really doing it well, I let my granddaughter hold the littlest dog, who's only 5 pounds. So she's walking the little dog in the jogging stroller, and I'm walking the other 4 dogs. It's a nightmare, right? Okay. But so much so that when people in my neighborhood would stop me and go, "Wow, you got a lot," I would pause and go, "Yeah, I'm not enjoying any of this."
Oh.
And I thought, why would I need to insist to people that I'm not having fun when I'm not having fun? But why do I feel compelled to share that piece of it instead of taking ownership?
Hmm.
Right? Okay. So let me move into victim role, because these all kind of move and dance a little bit with each other. And sometimes when we're in these roles, we can almost always wind up in the victim role. The victim role involves feeling powerless, oppressed, or at the mercy and circumstances of other people. It, Individuals in this role may believe that they are constantly wronged or harmed by external forces. Victims often seek sympathy and support from other people, and that can lead to a cycle of dependency. They may struggle to take responsibility for their situation, focusing instead on their suffering.
I've never been in that role ever. No, not me. Never
Right. So
experienced that.
we want people to notice our suffering.
Hmm.
And I'm gonna go a step further here, is that we also want people to enable our suffering.
We're looking for box allies. We want people to like, yep, that's exactly what it is.
Yes, for 5 years, I was all but dissertation, but it wasn't even the whole dissertation. It was 20 pages of my dissertation. And for 5 years, all of my close colleagues at work who are also in the mental health field, as well as my parents, as well as all of my family and all of my close friends were agreeing with me that I had too much on my plate to finish the last 20 pages. My husband was the only person that didn't agree with me. And you know what's interesting is I finished that dissertation 2 months later.
Mm.
It was completed and done and submitted and finished 2 months later.
After he was like calling you out, I'm like, ah, no, 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 no.
And it was only 30 minutes a day of effort.
Yeah.
That was like just mind blowing. But I hear people, and I actually dealt with this earlier this week, and so it's just one of these beautiful moments where it kind of like everything aligns, and you're like, oh my gosh, all these like beautiful moments. And I met with someone who is later 40s. She has gained about 30 pounds in the last year, and she was sitting in my office complaining about some of the things that she was noticing in her body, and this extra weight around her midsection, and the fact that she's getting the munchies all the time, and she knows that she's not hungry. And is it maybe just hormone fluctuation? Is it perimenopause? Is it just stage of life? And she said, and I heard it as she was saying it, like, oh, that's a problem. And she said, well, your body type is just your body type. She's not wrong. Okay. Isn't based on fallacy. Okay. Your body type is just their body type, and your metabolism slows as you age. Again, not wrong. She's correct. My mother looks like this. My grandmother also looks like this. And I believe my great grandmother might have also looked like this. We all kind of struggle with the same thing. We get this poochy middle section. We just look like this. And then we have flabby arms. And so I think maybe I just got to cope with this. Now, what's interesting is that she also went to her doctor.
I have so much I
And
want to say right now, but I'm gonna let you finish.
And you may not be surprised by this because I also heard this. And I hear this from a lot of women. And while it makes me happy that we're encouraging people to love themselves for every stage of their life and every season of life, which I do believe is an honest to gosh thing, we are also enabling dysfunction when we do this. And what her doctor said is, you know what? You're in middle age, your weight's still within limits, you're totally fine, your labs look fine. This is just what it means to age. And I looked at her in that same moment and I said to her, all of those things may be right. And that may be true. Do you want to settle for that? Is this the rest of the life that you want to live? Do you want to live your middle-aged life feeling miserable about your body, wearing clothes to hide your body, and just simply saying, this is genetics and this is just what happens as we age? Now, at any point in time, and at various points in time, and I want to talk about the rescue a little bit because, but I want to talk about it in just a moment. But at various points in my life, I have been in a position as well. And ironically, through training, I have actually encountered this as well, where I would say I've had foot surgery, I've got pins in my feet, I had a broken pelvis from a cycling accident, I'm a C-section, and 7 kids. Like, for crying out loud, like my body's just kind of like a hot mess, right? It just is. There's a lot of things that are just kind of, and it's not even the worst. Like, there are people that have worse than what I do by far. And my trainers would give me push-ups, and I would say, well, I got pins in my toes and I have to stand on my tippy toes when I'm doing a push-up. And so I can't do them. I can't do this. And so, they go, oh, I'm so sorry. We'll make sure that we don't put this on. And it was really interesting because I kept having trainers put it back on my training schedule. And I kept saying the same thing. I can't do that. And every single time I try, and I'd be like, yep, sure enough, I can't do it. It's the pins. I'll never be able to do a push-up because I got pins in my feet. Well, anyway, so I've been doing this for a year or so now, and I get push-ups again on my training schedule. And I say, you know what, just for giggles, I'm going to give it a shot before I tell this new trainer that I can't do it. And I go down, and I kid you not, I do 20 push-ups without even breaking a sweat. They had kind of tricked me, unbeknownst to me, into developing the muscles that I needed to actually do it correctly.
Crazy concept.
I know. while still listening to me. But what I hear so often from people is, I can't do it because my spouse won't support me. I can't do it. I can't get rid of Oreos even though I struggle with it because my kids love Oreos. I can't make meals for myself. Hello, this was me, protein drink queen. I don't even know how I slipped back into it. I was eating food, I was loving life, and suddenly I find myself drinking protein drinks 3 times a day. And I can't possibly do it because but you don't understand. You don't get what it's like having a 2.5-year-old grandchild. Of course, yes, most of us are moms, we understand what toddlers are like, right? But the issue that was is that when we're in the place of victim, we're settling for whatever life is going to give us. And when we settle, we're not actually taking any ownership of what we want our life to look like. And that is make or break. And it's not about you having to do it all on your own. A matter of fact, I strongly discourage people from trying to do it all on your own, but rather instead, if you want it to look different, go get some support. Go figure out what it is that you need. Keep problem solving that so that you can get there, right? Okay, so I want to talk about the last role. Um, this is also a role that I have found myself in. I feel like I can do all the roles. I'm not sure what that really says about me. And again, the things I want to say for the listeners that are hearing this, these roles are actually things that usually get reinforced by our childhood upbringing. So at some point in time, if you're in a victim role, at some point in your childhood, you probably have been a victim. At some point you had, like in a martyr role, you had to be told that you had to keep functioning even when you wanted to fall apart. And there's lots of good reasons why parents do this. And then I'm going to talk about the rescuer, and I'm going to talk about kind of like what happens with the rescuer. So the rescuer is characterized by a desire to help others and save others, often stepping in to solve problems for those they perceive as victims. This role can stem from a need to feel needed or to gain a sense of purpose. Rescuers may neglect their own needs while focusing on others, and their help can sometimes enable the victim mentality, preventing the victim from taking responsibility for their own life. Okay, so this is how I see this play out. I hear a lot of really well intentioned, and I'm going to pick on women. I hear men do this too, but the women do this a lot. Um, who are trying to make everybody's life better around them. This isn't the martyr. This is the person that literally perceives that, oh, this person over here has had an awful life, or my husband is struggling with diabetes. And so, of course, then I have to make everything diabetic friendly for him, um, even if it means that now I can't make things for myself. And, you know, uh, uh, well, what was the issue that I heard earlier this week about a partner who had a back problem, and so they couldn't possibly put away their laundry because they had a back problem. And they go on to kind of say, well, they're doing these other things. And they went to the gym. And I was like, wait, what? Hold up. What? Excuse me? And the problem with it is that when we get into a sense of self that I have to be needed in order to have worth, that no matter what, you are going to sacrifice yourself in order to do that.
Mhm.
And we are going to put, again, like that martyr, right? We're going to put everybody's needs in front of ours. But the problem with this is, and where I wanted to kind of make this ties between the victim and the rescuer, a lot of medical doctors and a lot of well-intentioned friends and sometimes even family members are actually going to come in as the rescuers, so that when we're complaining about our bodies or we're saying I don't like something, and again, I want to be really clear about this. I am all for loving our bodies in multiple seasons and multiple sizes. That is not at all what I am talking about. Your worth is not contingent upon what the number on the scale says or the clothing size that you wear. That is a very different concept here. You are worthy no matter what your size. I don't care if you're 400 pounds or if you're 90 pounds, you are worthy. It says nothing about you except maybe you need help in both of those arenas. But so many people who are telling us exactly what I was told during my dissertation. You're in middle age. This is kind of what happens. I love you no matter what. Oh, I love you with a couple extra pounds. Right? It's fine. We can both be fat and happy together. And And sometimes what they'll do is that they'll actually enable that, right? So they won't encourage us to go for morning walks. They won't encourage us to get gym memberships. They won't encourage us to look into maybe even personal training because they're more focused on making us feel comfortable than it is with challenging us to grow.
100%. I actually just did a post on this and I kind of want to link it because, and this is a whole different podcast that I plan on recording. And I would love to have you on this, Anne, but I did a post talking about how we have the same, mentality in and around the body positivity movement, right? And I echo your sentiments of love yourself. You are worthy, regardless if you're 90 pounds or 400 pounds. I echo those sentiments. But I truly feel like the body positivity movement was smoke and mirrors. It had given people a reason and permission to stay stuck. And so I did a post talking about, and you guys, I am all for. I have a hormone team on my team. I have plenty of clients utilizing GLP-1s, and they are dosed correctly. They come with the plan. They come with the strategy. I'm all about this. So this isn't about the GLP-1 per se. This isn't even about body positive movement. It's just the fact that it exposed the smoke and mirrors that movement was, because
Yeah.
now you have all of these same, and let's just use the big celebrities for example, right? That we're just riding this train hard. Lizzo, Kelly Clarkson, Adele,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
like, oh no, I'm big, I'm proud. And then all of a sudden, when GLP-1s come to the market and we take away the one thing that stands between most people and their success, which is your relationship with food, your food noise, and being able to control what goes into that. So that's what GLP-1s do really well. All of a sudden, we have these women that are just dropping massive amounts of pounds. And I love that for them. I love all of these women. I support them all. I supported them when they were 100 pounds heavier, right? So it's not about their body, but it's about this I'm big, I'm proud turned into no, I really just wanted to feel good in my skin. And this movement allowed me to stay stuck because it allowed me to accept that, right? Like that's what this did.
Yes. And I want to add something to this. This is so important. And I'm so excited that you said that. And I can't figure it out differently.
Yes.
I've tried everything I know how to try. I've tried every diet. I've stood on my head in the morning. I've splashed cold water on my face. I've done the things all fat, all protein, no carbs, no whatever. Like I've done the ridiculous workouts and eaten nothing, and I still am in this body. So therefore, I have to accept it.
Yep. 1,000%. And there, I mean, and it's so powerful when you break it down, right? Like it is this mentality that this permission to, and at the end of the day, love yourself means that you take care of yourself, point blank end
Yes.
story. And it, regardless, like Anne said, 400 pounds or 90 pounds, like loving yourself means that I am doing everything I possibly can to support the one body that I am given.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Give myself every opportunity to feel the very best in my skin, not just externally, because yes, that's a piece of the puzzle, but internally. Nobody wants to like struggle walking up a flight of stairs, you guys. Nobody wants to like, you know what I mean? It's like we take care of our health now or we end up taking care of it later, I guess. But ultimately, it's just like the goal should be to give your body every opportunity to thrive. And I am sorry, but nobody is thriving at 400 pounds. You're just not. You're not thriving. I mean, you may tell yourself that this is just what it is, and you may accept that as your reality, but that doesn't mean that you're thriving. And so that is, and I think that this plays not think, I know for a fact plays just so much into this whole mentality here. And again, I'm going to do a whole podcast covering this concept because I actually had a friend that posted after I made this post. She actually commented on that and did her whole post that she had lost again. She was, she had about 200 pounds to lose. And, I'm so proud of her. She dropped the 200 pounds with the help of these GLP-1s. And so there's no shame in a GLP-1 gain. If that is what it's needed for you to help, I mean, hopefully you're doing what you need on your end, lifestyle, you're mastering like that. So you keep it off, right? But again, the whole thing is just, it's so powerful when you think about it. And I love that this like all tied that together. So
I love it. I love it when this happens. And I think what happens, especially for us as women, is that we are actually applauded for taking that taking the high road and doing for others and encouraging others to stay stuck, ironically, encouraging others. And there is a challenge here because while and I hear some people kind of that think, all right, the only way I'm going to be happy is if I weighed what I did when I was 20 or weighed what I did when I was 30 or weighed what I did before I had kids. And while while that may be the only reality that you knew of what it potentially could be like to make yourself proud of yourself or feel good in your skin, that may not be the only possibility of things to go for, right? This is where diets chronically fail us because one, they're not actually doing anything for us. I've seen people lose weight on GLP-1s, bariatric surgery, you name it, diets. Okay. I've seen people lose weight, get to that final weight and still not love their body. Okay. Because it wasn't about the stupid number. It
Yep,
wasn't,
yep.
right? Are they happier? Yes, they are, but they're still not satisfied. Um, and one of the things that I think is really interesting is in the journey of taking care of your body and the journey of learning how to exercise and even getting stronger, it's really about investing in yourself and investing in your body, right? So when I think about my 2-year-old granddaughter, and we got a lot of kids, guys, we got 10 kids. So this is like the first grandchild of many grandchildren, I'm sure to come. I want to be able to be that grandmother. Um, I'm a Gigi, by the way, just in case you're wondering.
No,
But I
I
want to
love
be
that.
I want to be that grandmother, that Gigi that, 10, 15, 20 years from now, that my grandkids are looking at and are really proud of and they're impressed with. And that isn't going to be about my size. That I want to be about my resilience and my perseverance. I want to model to not just my children, but my grandkids that I'm unwilling to accept excuses for my life and allow that to be the barrier between me being proud of myself and staying stuck, right? And I think so many of us go into that place where it's just kind of like, well, I mean, this is what it is, and I'm a good grandparent, I'm a good parent. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. That is not a barrier to you being a good parent or grandparent. But man, the energy that we give when we're really proud of the actions we're taking, not about the size, not about the number on the scale, the actions that we're taking to take care of ourselves. Holy cow. And the discipline that you have to learn to take care of yourself. When I say discipline, because I'm like, I'm sure there are people listening that are like, yep, see, there, I knew it. There was going to be a diet involved. Um, Discipline for me is having chocolate, is eating donuts, is having pie, is having mashed potatoes and gravy. I'm not a big fried person, so fried chicken and French fries are not my love language. But discipline means I know how often my body can use those things and how often I get to treat myself with those things and get to enjoy those things and how often I have to stay steady. If you think of it, kind of like um, working, having a work week and spending money during a typical work week versus a vacation. We conserve energy in the work week. We're managing things, we're doing things pretty routine and pretty regular with our money so that when we go on vacation, we get to spend on vacation without charging, without worrying about it, right? And when we look at food in very similar ways and we look at our body in similar ways, I'm not endorsing chronic and compulsive exercise for the rest of your damn life. Exercising, though, what we know, science based, fact based, is healthy for us. It's not a calories in versus calories out. It's a process of taking care of our bodies.
Yep.
That's it, right? So that when you go on vacation, you have that week, 2-week trip, you're on a cruise, you don't have to stress about it. You're not compulsive. You can let it go. You can enjoy the time.
And I want to point out too, because what you were talking about here is, like you said, we want to think, and so many women, and I know women look at somebody like myself and you, Anne, and you're like, well, it's easy for you to say you have a body that you love, but truly coming from somebody who has been 100 pounds overweight, I can promise you right now, I have been shredded and I have been morbidly obese. Okay. And your happiest self, first and foremost, is not your smallest self. That I can promise you. But the confidence that I have in my body was not, or my confidence isn't from my body per se. Is there a piece of my confidence that, yeah, of course, we all have that, right? Where, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
We show up in a space where a body that we're happy with, of course. But my confidence has been built through the reps of showing up for myself. That's where confidence is built. Day in and day out, I keep the promises I make to myself. And so many women come to me and they're like, Nicole, I would just do anything to love myself. And I'm like, girlfriend, you don't not love yourself because you're 50 pounds overweight. You don't not love yourself because you don't trust yourself. You
That's
cannot
it.
love somebody you don't trust. And what happens? You wake up every single damn day and you break the commitments you made, right? Like, oh, today was the day I was going to hit the gym, but just like Ann said, the victim and all this, but this happened, but you don't understand. I have this and the 2-year-old granddaughter, and you just don't get it. And you break the commitments that you make to yourself day in and day out. But if you were to take that same commitment that you have, or a lack of commitment, I guess I should say, that you have to yourself, and applied that to any other relationship in your life, your spouse, your kids, your parents, your, employer, how do you think that that would present itself? You probably
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't have those relationships, right? They probably wouldn't be like foundationally strong by any means, but yet it is so okay for you to wake up day in and day out and break every single promise that you've made to yourself. So yes, there is going to be a place where your body represents, and I think that that's a big piece of, I mean, having a body, like it represents the commitments that you have kept to yourself, the commitments that you have made to yourself. And so that's what the missing link is like, I would do anything to love myself. And I have conversations like this every single day, and they are associating that love with with a number, with the size of jeans, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm just
Yeah.
into this, and it's like, no, really, because again, and I know, and I get, and somebody actually flat out said, well, it's easy for you to say, look at your body, and I'm like, let me show you what my body did look like, 10 years
Uh-huh.
ago. Let me show you, because I can promise you, I have been to both ends of the extreme. And ultimately, at the end, like the confidence that I have now, and I can walk into a room has come from the reps that I put into this. And so I really hope that this clicks for some people, because ultimately that lack of self-love comes from the lack of self-trust.
Can I offer? I want people that are listening to do three things, okay? And these three things to address kind of being in these roles. And I want to move into this because I think that this is going to be really useful. First is I want you to acknowledge that you're in that role and not judge it. All right. Shame has no place here. Shame is not going to help you with this. Feeling like an awful human being or going, man, I really identify with being the victim. Girl, me too. Uh, I really identify with being the rescuer, the martyr. Yes, me too. I've done all the roles. Yes, 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 yes. And there's more roles, and we can talk more about that on another episode. Um, it's not, you have not done it on purpose. It is not your fault. However, it is your responsibility to manage it. So if you're one of those chronic excuse people, or even you're in a season of excuses, that was me, a season, several months of excuses, right? It's fine. It's okay. You're not a bad person. Just acknowledge that you're there. The second thing that we need to do is take radical personal responsibility. If you do not like your life, where it is at, if you do not like any aspect of your life, what I talk about often and what I've talked about this week in particular, you know that scream inside of your head? When I was out walking my granddaughter, who I love dearly, I feel a need to say this every single time. She is amazing. She is so much fun. And these five dogs, in my head, I was screaming like a banshee. Like I was like, oh, I don't want to do this. Right. And I wasn't honoring that. And I have to accept personal, radical responsibility for the fact that I was miserable because no one was making me go on a walk with five dogs and my granddaughter. No one was saying I had to. No one was insisting. I chose it. I chose it. I chose my only time to unwind to bring extra things along. And so just give yourself some permission to really take some responsibility that if you are miserable, it is not because other people, it's not because of other circumstances, it's not even because you don't make enough money, it's not because you are genetically pre-wired to gain a lot of weight and your mom and dad never showed you how to eat correctly and they're also overweight. You know what? No, it's on you. You're a grown up. And
Mm.
I say that with love. I say that with lots of good intentions with that. Take some ownership. You're an adult. All right. Last thing, number three, doing four fingers. Apparently, my vision got more impacted today than what I thought it was. Okay. Problem solve. Problem solve, problem solve, problem solve. Okay. We cannot problem solve if we're in shame. You are not the problem. The dilemma is the problem. You are not happy. It is up to you to figure out how to be more happy or more content with what's happening. And for the record, I'm not real big on pursuing happiness because happiness is a transient emotion. Being satisfied with life is one of the biggest flexes of all time because being satisfied means I understand that happiness will come and go and I might have moments of misery, but I like what's happening in my current life. Make yourself proud. If working in your home gym you are not motivated for, you're not working out hard, you don't know what to do, go to the local gym, get a personal trainer. If you don't want to do that because you're embarrassed, this is a conversation I had just earlier this week. You're embarrassed to go to the gym because you can't do it like everybody else. Great. Get an online trainer.
Mhm.
Invite us into your life, see what we can do, try something different, give up control, give up this concept that you got to eat crappy calories or that your body just is where it's at because genetically you were cursed, or fill in whatever blank, and let's start doing something different.
Yep. And I love that. And I just want to echo that sentiment. And I speak to this often. And I think this is a great way to wrap this up. And I always tell women, I mean this with all the love of my heart when I say, you are not special. And I think that plays into the victim mentality because I had the mentality for 33 years of my life that I was special, right? Like I thought I was the only one that, the diet and the this and the that would, but you don't understand. I can't eat carbs without, but you don't get. So when I say you are not special, your situation is not unique. Your problems are not different. And for the love of God, you're not the only one that this won't work for. That does not mean that there are not certain circumstances that make things more challenging. Working through insulin resistance, PCOS, right? Autoimmune,
Yes.
menopause in general, which is hormone deficiency. Of course, those things make situations much more challenging, but it's not impossible. It is absolutely not impossible. But like Anne said, you have to take radical ownership of your current situation. And if you're not happy, you're the only one. You are the only one that can fix that. Not your spouse, not your employer, not if you make more money, not anybody else. You're the only one that can do that. So and I just think it's so very powerful. And I really appreciate you on getting on here and speaking to. So I'd love for you to kind of like give the aha of like, okay, your coach basically laid it on you. Like this is totally like within your control. So what did we gather? Like what was the conclusion, I guess, from all of this?
Oh, well, what's funny is that very day, okay, and this was like an early, God love my coach. And I do encourage everybody to have, like, if you're, I encourage everyone to get a coach. And this is, I think it is a luxury, but I think it's also, at least for me, and often for a lot of us women, it is a necessity because we need that accountability. We need somebody that has the direction and has the end in mind because we get really overwhelmed. Me emotionally, I get emotionally overwhelmed. Okay, I don't want to. I'm a personal trainer. I'm a baby certified personal trainer, but I can do it, right? But I need someone else calling me out on my stuff. I need someone else doing my program because I'm not going to do it for myself. I'm going to be taking care of too many people. I need somebody else challenging me, confronting me, helping me grow. This is also why I have friendships, right? Because when I'm struggling, I go to them and I'm complaining about something in my life. They're like, "And knock it off. Like you're gonna do something different. Like I get it, you're struggling, but come on, let's do something." And those relationships are just life-giving but also make or break. So okay, within less than 1 hour my day completely changed. I met my protein goals. It was all whole foods. And it was just like a light switch. It was like, oh, I'm back in that role again of feeling misunderstood. And like, honestly, she should just sympathize with my heart, like my issues right now, but she wasn't gonna take it. And I love that for me. It was, I'm sure for her, it wasn't a great conversation. I'm sure for her, especially dealing with somebody that's a psychologist, to have to like,
Oh, she
shut up and
thrives
get
in
up.
it. Come on, let's be honest. She thrives in it. She loves that shit. And those were that coach with Team Becoming Her. It is Anne works with Jules Ann. So we all know, like,
Yes.
let's just call that for she loves that, right? And not loves to make people uncomfortable, but I think she loves to like the fact that you're having these aha moments, she's just gonna relish in this, right? Like she loves that piece of it.
Because she genuinely, and I think all the coaches are like that. They genuinely
We do.
want to see you succeed. And so if that means stepping on your toes, then by gosh, we have to allow our toes to be stepped on. We have to sign up to put ourselves in a position where somebody is going to call us on our own stuff. And I don't know about you, but I have to have somebody really strong to call me out on my own stuff because I'm a really strong personality myself, right? So somebody's got to like really smack me in the face with a 2x4 and not really cater to my feelings or what I'd like to think I'm going through.
And this is just how, I mean, like anybody who achieves greatness, it's never done alone. It's just not, right? Like, coaches have coaches for a reason. People who make, you have executives and multimillionaires and billionaires have mentors and whatnot for a reason. There's a reason you have people in your corner. It's just really hard when it's your own journey to get watered down into that, right? And it's really hard when
Mhm.
these parts of us that come out that start to play the victim and the martyr and all of these things, it's hard to see that at times when we're stuck right here instead of having that 10,000 foot view of being able to have somebody that does just like Ann says, calls me out on what I need to be called out on to help me see that bigger picture. So I guess my last thing to wrap up this would be like, is if you find yourself in roles, whether you're working with a coach or not, whatever the case may be, where you start to get triggered, right? And you start to realize like, like something is like what would be the best tools that you'd give somebody and to like be able to recognize those triggers and to be able to like you said, I realized in that moment that I was triggered and like the aha, like do you get what I'm saying? Like what would be the best tools for somebody to recognize like, I'm triggered and there's a reason for it.
Well, one of the things that we have to make sure that we are bringing with us into relationships, and if you struggle to do this, I would strongly encourage you to reach out to a therapist so that you can work on this. But one of the things that we have to really work on in relationships, especially when we're in relationships with people that are designed to help us, is that those people are there to help us, not to hurt us. And the reason I say that is that if we're in a position where we think this person just doesn't get me, and it's because they're too thin, too successful, too out of touch with what it means to have a lot of kids or be a business owner or fill in the blank on whatever it is that we're doing. Okay, we have got to lean into that, and we have got to be able to acknowledge on some level this is a person who is put in my life to help me grow. And this is some of what we can do is also acknowledge whether or not we're in a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. So if you find yourself getting defensive, you are in a fixed mindset, and a fixed mindset is I should know everything, I should be able to do this. And a growth mindset is I am open to criticism, critique. I am open to growth opportunities. I want to know, even if I did an amazing job, I want to know what I could tweak to make it even better every single time. And if we keep that growth mindset as we go into interactions with other people in our lives, especially people that are designed to help us, what happens is you shift the focus from I need to defend why it is that I'm right and why my excuses matter to I need to listen to what it is that they're offering and then figure out why I'm struggling with it.
I love that. I love that. This has been great, Anne. Thank you so very, very much. And like I said, thank you for just sharing parts of your story. And I think this is something that every single woman listening to this is probably like, oh, yep, yep, I struggle with that too. Yep, yep, that's something somewhere. I've been there, done that kind of concept.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think sometimes people look at, coaches or somebody like yourself thinking we have it all figured out as well. And ultimately, at the end of the day, no, she's shaking her head. She's like, absolutely not.
Nope, nope, nope. Somebody said that to me the other day when they were like, "Oh, because I do a lot of marriage therapy and attachment work in marriage," and they said, "Well, your marriage must be perfect." And I was like, "Nope, nope." I said, I also treat eating disorders, and I had one. I said, "Really, I just screw up so many times and keep trying, and eventually I figure it out. It's the perseverance that really makes the cake, and that is what it actually takes to get the body that you want, to get the life that you want. It's not about being perfect. It's not about having lots of degrees or being even a personal trainer. It's really just simply about committing and not letting go of the commitment to yourself to love yourself and make yourself proud."
Getting up every day and showing up for yourself. The 1%
Yep.
better mentality. Oh my gosh, does that shit stack up? So this has been absolutely amazing, Anne. Thank you so much. And we will set up another one because I really want to dive into, like I said, this whole GLP-1 like I think that can be a very powerful episode, but we're going to save that one because I know you have a lot to say about that as well for
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
because there's so much more that I wanted to dive into. So be on the lookout for that one, you guys. And if, like, as always, rating, review, share to your social media, tag us. We absolutely appreciate all of it. And we will see you guys in the next episode. Ciao.
If this is helpful, give me a like, follow me, or subscribe for more.